One fine spring morning, Rebecca, the Bulleid Pacific, was pulling some empty trucks to the mainland before bringing loaded ones back. The sun shone and the birds sang. The empties were behaving well, and Rebecca was feeling very happy. Then Rebecca saw some boys on a bridge and decided to whistle a friendly greeting to them as she would pass under.
Oh, chaps!
She whistled, but before the words had passed her lips, the boys didn't wave and take her number. They thought it would be fun to drop stones on her instead! The driver soon stopped the train, and he went to the front of the Bulleid loco, while the fireman and guard went to investigate the wagons for any signs of damage. "You alright, old girl?" asked the driver.
"I wasn't till those stones hit me,"
sighed Rebecca.
"Now I know how Henry felt all those years ago."
"There's one advantage to this situation, though," said the driver. "A Bulleid Pacific's cab is more enclosed than a Black 5 cab, so you can consider us lucky." The fireman and guard soon came back to tell the driver their findings. "Some of the wood wagons had bits of wood chipped off them," said the fireman. "And some of the steel wagons have also been dented," added the guard.
"I'm pretty sure James would be furious if this happened to him,"
said Rebecca. When they set off again, Rebecca wondered how to pay the boys out. They soon reached Bower and Furness. A diesel moved Rebecca's now damaged trucks to the sidings, while Rebecca went to be turned around for the return trip. Henry sat nearby. He was stunned to see Rebecca's scratched paintwork. "What on earth happened to you, Rebecca?" asked Henry.
"Some boys threw some stones at me when I passed one of the bridges earlier, Henry,"
said Rebecca.
"I know how you feel now."
Henry smiled. "How about you try sneezing at them?" he suggested. Rebecca stared.
"Sneeze at them?"
she cried. Henry chuckled. "I've done it before," he said. "Are you ready, Henry? Sneeze hard when I tell you." "Now!" Achoo! Oh, well done, Henry! Rebecca wasn't sure if Sir Topham would approve of such an act from her, but her crew were most intrigued and began making a plan. They soon collected their trucks for the return trip. While the driver coupled Rebecca to the trucks, the fireman began the preparations of filling Rebecca's smoke box with ash from her cab, so she couldn't see what he was doing. As they passed through Barrow Station, Rebecca wasn't sure, but she couldn't help thinking she was feeling a little stuffed up in her smoke box. As they neared the bridge that connected Sodo to the mainland, Rebecca could feel her cheeks slowly starting to puff up.
"Why do I feel so stuffed up?"
she thought to herself. She wanted to sneeze, but she couldn't. Her cheeks were becoming too puffed up. To make matters worse, the more her cheeks puffed up, the more difficult it became for Rebecca to talk. Soon the Bulleid Pacific's cheeks were so big and puffy, they were as red as her buffer beam, and her voice was completely muffled. After a while, Rebecca began to smile.
You know something? This actually isn't so bad.
She thought to herself.
Oh, like I'm turning into a balloon with these big puffy cheeks.
Edward's station wasn't far away. Bill and Ben were waiting for clearance to return to the pits after delivering some China clay trucks. They soon heard Rebecca in the distance. As she got closer, the tank engine twins couldn't help laughing at the sight. "Feeling stuffed, Rebecca?" asked Bill. "You may need to work out later," laughed Ben. "Bloody hell, Rebecca, are you alright?" asked Edward. Rebecca couldn't speak due to how big her cheeks were. She just gave a reply on her whistle and disappeared. "Bloody hell, she looks like she's gonna burst," muttered Edward. He was worried about the Bulleid Pacific. Soon they could see the boys on the bridge, and yes indeed, they all had stones.
Oh god, not again.
Thought Rebecca. "Now's our chance," said the driver. The fireman was counting on his watch to determine when to open the valve. "Now!" he shouted, and the driver turned the handle. Hot ashes flew out of Rebecca's funnel and landed all over the boys, who ran away as black as soot. The driver soon stopped the train, and he and the crew went to the front of Rebecca, whose cheeks by then were back to their normal size. "Jolly good sneeze, old girl," said the driver. Rebecca blinked.
Wait a minute. Is that why I was feeling stuffed up?
She asked. The driver nodded and explained. "We remember when Henry was mentioning when he sneezed on some boys, so we decided to have a go ourselves," added the fireman. "So I tried to give you a good build-up of ash in your smoke box to use as railgun ammo on them. It served them right," chuckled the guard. Rebecca burst out laughing. She couldn't believe it worked. When they finished their journey, the driver, fireman, and guard cleaned and painted over the scratches on Rebecca's air-smooth casing. Nowadays, Rebecca's smoke box is always cleaned out in the yard while she's resting before her next train is due out. One night, Henry backed into the shed alongside Rebecca. "I told you it would work," he said, winking at the West Country. Rebecca blinked.
How did you?
She began. "A truck told me in the yard," said Henry. "Although, judging by the details I received, I don't think my cheeks were as plump as yours," he chuckled.
My cheeks were past their max limit,
said Rebecca, and puffed them up to show their normal maximum size limit. "Did you think you would burst?" asked Henry.
I felt like it,
said Rebecca. Needless to say, I don't think Rebecca would want to sneeze under a bridge again. Don't you?